Welcome to Door Insider, where we take a deep dive into the mindset, the why, and the how of the industry's top entrepreneurs, leaders, recruiters, and salespeople. We are the Door Nation. Here is your host, Lee Barber. Let's go.
All right, gang, welcome to Door Insider. Today, I'm excited to introduce Alex Smith, a seasoned leader with 9.5 years in the solar industry. For the past 4.5 years, he's owned Spartan Solar, driving a sales organization that consistently achieves 4 to 7 megawatts monthly. In 2025, Alex launched SpartanX, an install division, and it's on pace to install 100 systems per week by year end. Join us as we explore his journey in building a thriving business and balancing innovation with leadership. Alex, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lee. It's about time. We go way back.
We do. So we were talking before the show started, and we met. Shoot, I think that's been 4 years. It was before I joined Legacy.
That was around the time you were about to make that shift.
Yep. So they invited me to the Miami retreat just to kind of check out what things were. I think you were a dealer in that program. So I don't know if you were direct, but I believe you had Spartan then, because I remember the logo. And that was the beginning of our journey. And I've just watched you. It's interesting for me, and not to take over the beginning here too much. I've really noticed in my career where I've been in the industry with some guys for the certain amount of time, or the same amount of time or even longer, and I've passed them up. And it's been really interesting. You've far surpassed what I've done in the industry, which is super impressive, right? And you kind of have that star power. You're on point with your recruiting, you're building your business. So it's been super impressive, man, to watch you do what you've done and hit the. I think when I first joined Legacy, Seth in that division was doing around 40 megawatts, and that was 4 years ago, and you're on pace for those kind of numbers. So, super excited to have you on the show. A lot of respect for you, watching you grow. So yeah, just awesome, man.
Appreciate it, man. It's cool to see who survives in this industry.
Yeah,
it's really cool to see who can push through any of the adversity, any of the challenges, and come out on top, and not just come out on top, but come out better than they were before. And I think that's the opportunity this industry gives the people that can really get gritty, really get down and dirty. It does provide a better opportunity for those individuals, but it does come with quite a bit of pain in between that most aren't willing to fight through. So I like that gap in that opportunity and the people that fall off the cliff. So it's cool that you've not only survived, but now it seems like you're in a really good place as well.
I am, and I appreciate that. So let's catch. Everyone might not know you. I don't actually know you that well. I know what I see on Instagram. So I want to do really heavy business focus on this, because I think you have I think you have a really high business acumen. So I want to focus on that for the audience so that they can pick up some of your business skills and your know-how. But let's cover a little bit of background on Alex, kind of growing up, family. What drove you? Were you in sports? What are the early years look like?
Okay, so growing up, I was in every sport. I played baseball, basketball. Ended up playing rugby at a certain point, soccer. Played every sport growing up on all the travel teams. And really fast, that changed. So going into, I think it was 6th or 7th grade, all of a sudden I went from being the sports guy that was always out in the field, always with the friends, to I became allergic to exercise. I became allergic to the sun. I became allergic to physical pressure. So if I leaned against a desk, I would break out in hives. And I would turn into anaphylactic shock. So it was out of nowhere, just this new condition came on. So all the sports that I used to play, I could no longer play, because every time I would end up in the hospital, need an EpiPen, and it would just be a world of pain, and couldn't breathe. Right, the lungs, everything the throat starts closing up. So my life shifted really fast from being the sports guy, being the best in that lane, being the pitcher, being the hitter, really playing my card, to now as the video game guy. I shifted. I was I need to gear my competitive spirits into something to stay sane, and I went all in on video games: World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Halo, Gears of War, and I got really, really good at video games. But eventually, I had to kind of come out of that, right? Because when you're in the video game land, you're not really in real life. The accolades and the achievements you make in there feels good, but it doesn't translate over to the outside world at all. So eventually, I cut the cord there. I was like, I need to talk to women. I need to start doing this other thing.
Girls.
I was like, I need to go in this other lane. This is not going to serve me forever. And so ended up making the shift back to the real world and back into sports. Got some experimental treatment that started to work. So I was able to like play sports and do things again, which was amazing. And had my go at rugby, had my go back at baseball. And then I went to college, went to FSU, graduated the triple major in finance, sales, and marketing, had a ton of fun in college. College was just, that was just a world-class experience, right? It's like, what do you want to be the best at and do in college? And most of the time it's like, you want to drink, you want to party, you want to get girls, you want to have fun. And so like, I went all in on that. Was a bartender, bar manager in a fraternity, grew up in that lane, and I was rush chair, right? So I ran positions in the fraternity. I was rush chair. I was the pledge master. I ran house manager. And a lot of those skills I gathered doing that in that process, like you're recruiting, right? You're trying to like, why did the stud coming into FSU want to join your fraternity instead of the other shiny object? And so you start that process. Same with bartending, right? You're recruiting people to come to your bar. You're trying to utilize your influence to promote something. And so all of those skills, I didn't expect them to translate to anything. I didn't really think about it at that time. But once I decided I want to go into sales, it was pretty clear that you need to be able to recruit. And you need to be able to broadcast your message to other people and get people to want to come, be with you. In that industry, that's what it was. In this industry, it's like they ought to want to work with you.
Let me stick on that for a minute, because I don't think that it is clear. I think that it's clear to very few. And I think the few that it is clear to are the ones that make it. One of the things that I wanted to hit on what you just said, one of my kind of takeaways was the parallels, right? I think, and why do I say it's not clear? I think that to me, when I came into the industry, week one, I'm reading 20, I could see, what do? You need to recruit, right? 21 irrefutable laws. And I'm combining my leadership books with my sales books because, I didn't understand door-to-door speed dating, right? At that time, I hadn't been in the industry. But I've thought back on my life to all of the parallels that had made me successful in the industry. And I'll have, people, we all do, right? We'll have people come in from sports, or we'll have people come in from bartending or serving or all these things. And they're not connecting the dots with the parallels in their own job, right? Sports, competition, pushing, right? A bartender's talking to 30 to 100 people a day, trying to upsell them on drinks. And people don't harness their knowledge of those skills and say, hey, I actually know how to do this, and then apply it. And then I also don't think that most people come into the industry thinking that they need to recruit right off the bat. I think it takes people time to adjust to that, and some people actually never end up doing it.
Yeah,
I just thought that was a call out because, one, obviously your parallels are running directly into this. You were able to identify your parallels and then take advantage of them. And then, and some of those were the recruiting. And, a lot of the stuff that happens on college campuses, it is recruiting. So I just wanted to shout that out. Anybody listening, it's like, look back on your life and say, where have I done hard things, and how do those hard things kind of apply? Because when this is what I do on the podcast, is I listen to highly successful guys and I look for these common denominators, and it's somebody early in his career that was able to identify the parallels and then take advantage of those parallels. So
and what's interesting, on the recruiting side, I didn't get into solar thinking about recruiting people, or that was part of the process at all. I just was told someone made $10,000 their first month in 2017 selling solar in California. I'm like, oh, that means I'm taking a 6-figure job. This is better than all my friends in college. So I started telling everyone I took a $120K a year job. Obviously, no salary, no guarantee. But I ran with that heavily. And so recruiting wasn't like in my mind, but what I have been my entire life is a galvanizer. And I'm starting to piece this together later on, like who I am, like what's my working genius. I'm an ideator. I love ideation. I love coming up with better ideas and iterating on a process to make it better. That's just something I thrive in that lane. I need certain people around me too. I need discernment. I need people that can help poke holes in my stuff. So I actually need people to help me be better. Otherwise it can run really far in the wrong direction, thinking I'm in the right place. So it's like really hard on the wrong thing. Even if it ends up coming out, it's like you still did the wrong thing. So I know what people I need in my life. I need discernment, and I need tactical executors at the end. And so I need people in different positions that help bring everything I do to life. So I know I'm an ideator. So I come with the ideas. I like to, really iterate on a process and a system, and I just think through things that's always running through my head. And then I'm a big time galvanizer, which is really recruiting in its core, because I'll recruit people to anything. I will recruit people to work with my fitness coach, to work with my doctor. I'll recruit people to any mission that I'm on where I'm finding success, and other people are, if people are pouring into me and it's working, I just naturally recruit people to that thing. I just feel almost like I have to. Like I found this really cool software the other day for my whole virtual headquarters for all of my entire company, and everyone loves it. It's really enabled communication. Speed of communication has never been better. Clarity has never been better. And I've just brought it to like several other companies, and everyone's like, "Do you like own a share of this company? Like, are you like an investor there? Like, what's your deal?" I'm like, "Dude, no, I just
Who is
love
it? Is
it.
it Enzy?
I just
I
love
got
it." No. It's
I got
called Rome. It's called Rome. It's a virtual headquarters. It's my favorite thing ever.
I had to take a
Especially
stab at it.
when you have people all over the world, right? All over the country.
Yeah.
It really brings everyone together. But that's just another example of something where it's like people will start to think that I'm getting everything I'm doing, and I could get nothing at all. I don't want anything. It's just if I believe in it, I will galvanize and I'll get other people to believe in the same thing and jump on board. So I've just realized that's what I do. And obviously the solar industry, you can profit off of that and you can help other people achieve the same success. So it's just like my character trait at this point.
No, I love that. I mean, it's just, and again, common denominators of successful people, like determining, like one of the things I'm very similar. Like, my wife calls me, she's the anchor and I'm the balloon. And I have a lot of, because I come with the ideas, right? And it's like I do galvanize people. I share a lot of similarities to what you said. And I also realize what I'm really bad at. I'm really bad at operations. I'm not great at, managing large scale pipelines. It's tedious. I don't like it, right? So I surround myself with the people that do that.
Yes.
I have, the leaders in my offices, they're able to check in with me and say, hey, maybe this direction isn't working. So I identify with everything that you said, and I think it's a great point for people at any point in the industry. Is like, one, understand what you are good and not good at, and whether it's leadership or backing somebody up or management or training. Like, one of my favorite sayings was, his name is 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell. One of the things Maxwell said was like, everybody's always worried about trying to get good at the 5 or 6 things that they're bad at.
Yeah.
He said, find the, 2 to 3 things that you're really, really good at, and just focus on those things only, and then surround yourself with people who are really, really good at the 5 or 6 things that you're bad at. And that's how you excel at what you're doing. And so that's just identifying your strengths and weaknesses. And then another, if you have 3 strengths and it's recruiting, galvanizing, getting people involved in it, and SOPs, but you're bad at the other things, your 4th strength could actually be knowing what you're bad at and then recruiting people to what you're bad at. So great points, man. I love all that. So great to get a little history on you. So from college, did you go right to solar?
Yeah, right when I graduated, 2 weeks later, borrowed $4,000 from my grandma, moved out to California, signed a 12-month lease out there, and I was all in. And that was when I first started reading. That was when I first started that self-development journey. Never really read a book before for any reason other than school requirements, right? So that's when I read Be Obsessed or Be Average, and I just started going down that path, and my mind started to shift really fast. It was like I was very open to change. I didn't want to be that same person I was in college. Like I feel like I peaked in college, but I didn't want to be that person that looks back like, oh man, that guy really just peaked in college. I didn't want to be that guy. So I was like, I want this to be a new Alex. I want to reinvent myself out here. I really took that initiative for myself. I said that out loud to people, like, I'm going to become a new man. Like, this is who I'm going to be. You're not even going to recognize me. And so once I started to get some of that knowledge and some of that information, I just really grabbed onto it and really played all out from there on.
You're actually, I think, the first person that I've talked to that just went straight into the career. So tell me about some of the early days in the career, and let's lead into, how we get to the meeting with Seth. So you've been in 9.5 years. We've known each other for about 4. So you were in the industry about 5 years before we had met. And it sounds like Spartan had kind of started within 1 year period. So let's go with the beginning years before Spartan. Because what I like to walk people through is if Alex can, you can, if I can, you can, right? It's just kind of, but let's talk about those early days and what starts leading you into the path of, owning your own dealer, running your own teams and things like that. What were the kind of the early days? And you were, you were a door knocker, right? You started out setting and closing. What were those early years like developing, and challenges and things that you had to overcome to continue?
Day one, I wanted more. Right when I got there, it was freezing cold in California, and we had the most rain. Apparently they had an 8 year, so I didn't know that was going to be a thing. So kind of landed in an adverse moment. I didn't bring any winter gear. I thought California was 70 and sunny year round, and it was monsooning rain. Like the streets were flooding. It was not what I expected. I didn't have any gear, and I got food poisoning day one. So day one out in the field, I'm like throwing up on the side. I'm super sick. I come home, I'm in fetal position at night. And then I'm just like trying to stay alive because I'm like, I am not going to go home with my tail between my legs. I didn't perform, didn't execute. So every day I still went out in those conditions, even though I had really bad food poisoning. But immediately when I landed there, I wanted more. I went straight to the guys in charge and I was like, hey, I want to run this office. I want to run a office. What does it take for me to do that? And they kind of give me a loose path. I think some people expect too much clarity. And clarity is an amazing strategy in business. You need clarity. The more clarity, the better. I'm not saying against it, but sometimes people want too many like yellow brick road, like you do this, that, and the other, and you'll get this. And then they go, well, the reason I'm not doing all those things is because you didn't tell me all the things I need to do to become that person. Like, well, that's why you'll never become that person. Because if you need to be told everything you need to do to get to the next level, otherwise you just don't do it, you're not the guy. So, I've run into people all the time today that really, and we try to provide the best roadmap possible, but sometimes there's these intangibles and there's these people that just become more than expected, and you just need to work with them more closely and you need to move them up. They just almost, their potential is too high to not move them up. And so I asked what it was required and got very loose guidelines, and I just played all out. Basically what I took from that was I'm just going to go sell a ton of solar, right? I'm going to go learn the script. I'm going to get really good at objection handling. I'm going to teach other people to do the exact same that are already in this office. And I just doubled down on that. And within 4 months, I was running the office as a co-manager. And then I became a regional. And then I was a director of sales for the company. And then I actually got demoted back to sales rep. Ended up having a lot of death in the family. My dad passed away a year before that. My cousin, who's like my best friend, 3 years older than me, passed away. We're like the same person. 2 uncles passed away within 6 months. So within like a 6-month year window, had tons of death in the family. Never experienced that before. And that just took me down a real dark, deep path where I just no longer had motivation. I didn't really understand why I was doing anything, because before, every time I'd make a sale, every time I'd have some success, I see the fruits of my labor. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm becoming that person. Like my parents are gonna be proud. I'll be able to get them that house, that kind of feeling. I'd call my dad, call my mom, and once that was taken from me, right, I could no longer call him, I could no longer call my cousin. I just really didn't see the reason to what I was doing. I lost everything within all purpose was just stripped from me. I didn't know that was my purpose, but at that point that was my purpose. So it was completely stripped from me. So I went for 3, 4, 5 months where I was not the guy. I could not get myself to do anything. I couldn't get out of bed. I had massive anxiety, massive depression, both things I thought for sure were not real beforehand. But I'd be like, I have all the plans in the world. Next day, I ain't getting out of bed. Here's the excuse.
I want to stick in here for a minute because one, I already know partial the answer to this, but I want to hear you say it and talk about it. These are the lessons that we learn in when I say business, Alex, life is a business, right? Like it really is. It's how I'm running myself, how I'm operating, how I'm running my gym, how I'm running my education, how I'm running my family, how I'm running my household, my teams.
Yeah.
And the people who excel better in business, in my experience, one of the common denominators is that they're just able to handle more emotional, spiritual, physical, financial weight.
Right.
They're able to handle stresses better, depressions better, anxieties better. And these are all human conditions that we all go through. And so one, to check in with you, like, I'm sorry to hear about your dad and your cousin. That must have been, I don't think any of us can imagine you hear a lot of guys that go home because their girlfriend broke up with them, and when you're hearing a guy talk about somebody passing away, it's probably some of the obviously your purpose can go away. So right. I just want to stick in on that for that pain. I mean, talk about going through that, what it felt like, pulling out of it, and then I would imagine at some point later, a year or two later, you were able to reflect on that and find some solace in the fact that that you made it, that you stayed, checked into life and reality, and that you worked your way through those extremely painful processes. Probably one of the worst thing a person can go through is death of someone they love. So I'd like to just really stick in there with that, because people, they're going to go through divorces and have people pass away, or girlfriends or things leave them, or different things like that, but it's relative. So yeah, I'd like to just hear a little bit more on that, like the processes you went through and how you healed and recovered from that and what you learned.
So going through that process for me, again, it stripped out the purpose, stripped out the drive. It replaced it with depression, and then what I later came to find as like severe anxiety, where the daily practice for me was like, okay, how do I get out of this? I knew I was in it. I was like, how do I get out? And I thought, because when I first got in the industry, what did I do? I moved to a different state where I didn't know anybody, and it was just me, but I was surrounded by new people, new blood in the company. I was surrounded by some people, right? Different environment. So my brain goes, well, if I had success getting revitalized then, or like energized and found a lot of success, maybe I just need to do that again. I need to move. I need to put myself somewhere different, get uncomfortable. So my first attack at it was, I'm going to move to Southern California and build out this division within the company where I was really just helping other solar companies get going within that, kind of like dealers of the company, which I'd never done before. And so I moved to LA, and I was by myself, picked the wrong Airbnb. It was a bungalow. And really what that meant was they had no air conditioning except for this little thing in your room that you had to like bring to your bed. So that was the worst during summer, period. And second fallacy there was I was also not surrounded by anybody. So I wasn't around anybody. The first time when I moved out to California, I had people there that were pushing the driving that I was able to run with. So I went out there, I was on my own, wrong place. Thought that was going to be the thing that got me back into gear. It just did the exact opposite, because I was trying to fix myself. Like I wasn't unaware that I was having a problem. It just didn't work out. So days would come by where it's like, okay, tomorrow you're going to meet with this person, that person, do this, do that, and the other, take them out in the field, whatever it is. And then that next day would come, and I would just text them all the excuses in the world. And then I would just stay inside. I'd play Fortnite. I started playing video games again because I needed to find some comfort somewhere.
You went back to your comfort zone, yeah.
I went right back to comfort. I got an Xbox. I'd play Fortnite and order Uber Eats all day long. That was literally how I stayed alive, and go to bed. And then tomorrow's the day. And then every day would come, and I just wouldn't do it. And it was so frustrating. And it actually makes the anxiety like get worse and worse and worse, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And it's like a snowball that gets out of control. And eventually, after a few months, I was like, this is not working. I moved back to California. And at this point, I'm like in debt, right? Even though I made a bunch of money, because I wasn't great with my money. First time making money. My car lease was ended, and I couldn't get a new lease because my credit was bad. So I had to like beg the dealership. Luckily, they gave me another Honda Accord, because I was a loyal customer for the last 3 years, even with bad credit. And got another credit card, got someone to approve me for $11,000. I needed that extra wiggle room, right? I was in debt on debt. You know what I mean? I had to like get some cash somehow. And I was living in my friend's living room. And I brought my bed to his living room in California. So I was living in his living room in my bed. So it was like, that was my bedroom, his living room. So shout out to Eric and Dean for, putting up with me and housing me during that time. And then I was really bad for culture. I would not go to meetings. I wouldn't go to anything. And the deal was, if I just kept selling 4 a month, I could stay in the company. And even though I sold 4, I ended up getting fired, which I was really pissed off about, because I was like, I hate the numbers that we talked about. But in hindsight, that was the right thing that should have.
Why did they fire you?
I was just, I was bad for culture, right? Yeah. It's like I got demoted.
What was your perception of at the time? At the time of, and I vibe with that. Yeah, you come into core and you're the mopey little, fucking bitch. I mean, I've been it, right? Guy. You come in, you bagel all week, life sucks, you're moping, you're on your phone, right? You're that guy. You're not vibing with anything, you're not hearting anything on the group me. Like, what I'm curious about is, at that moment, what was your paradigm or perception of why you were fired? And then looking back, what do you reflect on it now as?
At that moment, I got fired unjustly. And that was exactly what I needed, though, that feeling. It created an enemy. I now had an enemy. I needed that, right? Because there wasn't the purpose. That wasn't there. But now I had an enemy to prove wrong, and to prove that I'm right, and to prove that I'm good, and to prove that that was a big mistake. Like, that's a huge fuel source for me, to be able to tap into that. And I didn't really realize that at the time. So I was able to tap into that and find my next move. And when I went there, it was just like a fire got lit underneath my ass, and I got loud again. I got proud again. I was out in the field.
You went back to the same company?
I went to another company.
Different company.
Yeah, and back then no one was selling solar. There's no one posting about solar, so it was like kind of hard to find a company. It wasn't like people knew about it, so it was a very scary world to enter. Because I had no idea. It was like, that was my baby, and I left my baby. I got fired from my baby. So I went to the next company, and everything started to come back together, because I now had an enemy. and I had something to prove. And it turns out I actually had that when I first got in the industry from my sales professor, Pat Palantino, who didn't let me on the sales team. And I was like, I'm going to fucking make you eat that decision, because I got perfect scores on everything. He just didn't like that I partied and went out. And I was like, I will make sure I am the top person to ever come out of this sales institution in life. Like, I will be the most successful. So I had an enemy back then, and now I had another enemy to charge me up. And it's actually an enemy you would know. He's a very, very well-known person in the industry. I love this guy. We're friends now. We're cool now. But at that point, that was the fuel source I needed. And during that like part of time when I was in that depression, anxiety, what I did find though was Wim Hof. That was before anybody really talked about Wim Hof.
Breath work. Let's go.
Started getting into breath work, and that really made a huge impact on me. I was able to like get into the present moment. I was able to like let go of the anxiety, like the depression. I was able to like just be for moments in time. And that's when I discovered Wim Hof. And, you know, to this day, a lot of times if I run a correlation for somebody, or I run a, event, or I'm speaker somewhere, I'll do Wim Hof with the whole crowd to start off the event.
That's crazy, man. I do that.
And that gets me in the present moment. So that was something I really picked up during that dark time and made a huge impact on me. And it only takes a couple minutes, and every single time I feel way better. I feel connected to everybody, and I feel in the moment. So, that all parlayed into this next move of this company. And, I hit it out the park right away, sold a ton of solar, brought in a ton of people from the other company that saw what I was doing and wanted change as well. Luckily, they still trusted me. I still had some influence, and, just kept on the path. And really, then all of a sudden I doubled, tripled my income, quadrupled my income. So things started to go really well on that next 2 years.
You know what? I just want to focus on some of my takeaways there. I talk about timelines a lot, and there's two Alexes there, and they have divergent paths. One Alex is sitting here with me now. Another Alex, he has some catastrophic things happen in his life. Same Alex, same situations, but both Alexes have a catastrophic situation happen in life with family passing. They both decide, hey, I need to mix it up. I'm going to move somewhere, get there, realize, oh my gosh, this was even worse. Life sucks worse. I suck worse. They get fired. They're like,
yeah,
I suck. I suck at life. I suck at everything. I don't have a purpose anymore. And one Alex packs his bags and goes home and gets a job at maybe a gym as a trainer, or maybe somewhere in business. He's going to go use his degree to help somebody run their company. And, that Alex right now, we have no idea where he is. No clue. And the difference was, would he have been successful? Possibly, but more likely than not, because when you start quitting, you keep quitting. And that Alex might have been so defeated. And you never know what that divergent Alex looks like. And the other one was the one that decided to stick in, and that decided to maintain, and the one that's decided to fight through, and the one that started to find purpose and find a reason and find some grit and grind. And I vibe with that so much. I just look back at my life where, if I had quit, me and my wife were talking about this last night. We were doing these kind of couples cards where you pick one out and you each talk about the subject, which is nice. But one of the questions was, what are the things you're grateful for? And it was that I'm so glad we never quit on ourselves or the career when it's been so difficult and challenging, because so many lives would have been, everybody that you've recruited and is at Spartan or SpartanX with you is a ripple in the pond of your success. And so because of what you've done, you've made them successful. And it's such a huge impact. And so, I kind of talk about these things just as a call out to people, that when it's hard, the hardest, and when it's painful, those are the moments when you're growing the most. And if you quit on yourself, you'll never know that divergent path. You'll never know who you could have become or who you would have become if you had learned the lessons of like doing hard things and working through pain and finding a way no matter what. I did a podcast with Jordan Williams years back, and he said, the only way is through. And, that's what I see here. So, that's just amazing, bro. Really super powerful message in that. There's a ton to it. I can't wait to go back and re-listen to that. So, really, really amazing.
I think you're spot on what you said with, people quit. They tend to keep quitting. People do become serial quitters.
Yeah.
And I talk about that a lot. I'm like, if you quit now, just know this is going to start to get ingrained in your brain when things get tough or things don't go the way you expect. Like, your next reaction will be to quit again, even though you thought that next thing was the best thing, and you will continue to quit. And I think what's a really powerful tool for people, and I've started to gather this over time. So now, like, I'm very aware of these mental models. Naval Ravikant, Elon Musk, they talk about it. Charlie Munger, they talk about mental models. And mental models provide a framework to think and make decisions. So rather than have to come up with it in the moment, rather than rely on yourself, your emotions, the logic, everything that's happening live time, if you create mental models for yourself, which are these frameworks you can reflect on and refer to at that very moment, it'll help you make better decisions or change the way you think or your perspective of, or perception even of, for example, one of my mental models now is adversity is the gift of fast growth. So every time I experience adversity, depending on how much adversity too, the more the better, that usually means that this will enable fast growth. The fastest growth I can experience in my company and my own life will be because of this adversity I'm experiencing right now. So the more the better, rather than what most people might think when that moment comes, which is like, holy shit, what am I dealing with right now? I don't even want to look up. In fact, I'm going to throw my phone away because I just can't even handle this. So that's one example. Our darkest nights produce our brightest stars, right? Right in line with that, right? Like those big moments, those heavy hitting moments, like knowing that that's what's going to produce the future you. And then another mental model I lean into all the time, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. And these are simple models. I have models in business too. These are like personal ones. It's like, hey, why are you not winning? It's like, well, you following the formula. Are you going to bed early? Are you waking up early? Doesn't mean you have to be like obsessive with it, but are you following that basic rubric? Are you working really hard? So you have to produce results within that work. And then are you advertising it? I got that one from Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he blew up the movie industry. He became a governor. And you know what he did differently than anyone else? He put in the work like everyone with the Olympia stage. He put in the work like everybody, but he became so good at advertising his results and his work and making everyone else buy into it so that he would have a global audience, not just a national audience. And he was able to do things no one else could ever do in multiple lifetimes. And so I was like, that's a formula I have to stick to every day. I talk to my people about it all the time. But I think finding mental models for yourself in your personal life and in your business to lean into is one of the greatest hacks you can ever experience. Because then when things happen, you know exactly what to refer to. And then it gives you a quick guidance on how to think or what decision to make. And so therefore you make better decisions more often and you think the right way more often as well. If you do both of those things, you tend to win more often across the board.
Yeah, I love that. My take on the mental model, like that, and what you just said was, you're really shaping your paradigm, your worldview, the way in which you see a subject, right? And I talk a lot about paradigms with my groups, but simple understanding of a paradigm is, at some point in time in human history, there were two people standing on a beach, and one person thought the world was flat and the other one knew the world was round. But they're looking at the same beach, the same ocean, the same horizon, the same skyline, but they had two completely different conceptions of actual reality. One was not viewing reality and one understood, and it's the same with the sun, right? At some point, every human being on earth thought the sun revolved around the earth, and at some point someone's paradigm changed. So a paradigm is the way in which we're viewing a subject. And so, just to unpack from my perspective, what you were talking about, mental modeling was, you're taking, a challenging thing or a hard thing, and you're modeling it in a way in which you view it. And so you're saying, I view this harder, challenging thing like as growth, as a challenge, right? Like, I talk to my groups, I'm like, if I go do legs tomorrow and the next day I'm not sore, my view of that is that I didn't go hard enough in the paint on legs. Like, why am I not sore? Like, I need to evaluate what my workout was, how much time I spent, because I view the pain as growth, where other people will view that pain as like, oh my gosh, I did too much, I need to stop going. So I love the mental modeling. That's amazing. So advertising really quick, because I don't think anybody does it. We reconnected. I'm advertising, whether it's, people are like, Lee's going crazy. I'm like, I'm not going crazy. I'm just advertising. That's like saying like, competing football teams are like going crazy. No, they're just advertising. It's not like, it's just, for me, it's whatever I'm advertising. If I'm advertising for recruiting, or I'm saying, hey, don't work there, work here. Or if I'm saying work here, not there. Or if I'm saying, hey, this is who I am as a human being, or like, I believe in advertising and the different forms of it. And so I just want to hear, you have a high level of, what is your IG account at? You,
Yeah, typically around 500,000 views every 30
yeah,
days. So it's not crazy, crazy viewership,
but that's a
but
lot.
it's the right viewership. So I
Yeah,
don't care for everyone in the world to see my stuff. That doesn't really add a ton of
just
value
the
to the
right.
business. This is my IG is my business. It's me.
Yeah,
And so that's what I sit at. I don't know, followers like 50K. Nothing
yeah,
too crazy there, but I have the right eyeballs on my stories and I have the right eyeballs on my page every single day. And I know this because I check it, and based on the DMs and the communication and what leads to what, like that's what I'm really after. And so the message I craft, the person I am, needs to show through there at all times. So I believe, and Gary Vaynerchuk said this at, I think it was SolarCon or DoorDoorCon, whichever one he spoke at.
hmm,
He said this, and this really like drilled this into me even more than I thought. He goes, everyone in this audience right here, there's some of you that have been in this business, installing solar, doing solar, whatever it is, for the last decade, for the last 20 years, and you guys are right now on top. You guys are killing it. You guys are doing great. There's someone in here that just got into this business 1 year ago that's going to take advantage of social media the way it's supposed to be, take advantage of the lever of media. It's one of the ultimate forms of leverage. Someone's going to take advantage of this, and they're going to sideswipe you and wipe you out in the next 5 years. And you're going to wonder what the heck happened because you didn't jump on the wave. So when he said that, I was like, I'm going to be that person. I was like, I'm going to sideswipe everybody. And it's like, that's me. Like, why not me? And so I
yeah,
really doubled down at that moment. I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is I've known already is working, but now I need to make sure I need to show the right things every single day, which obviously are just the things I do, right? It's like the receipts. I love receipts. I have a formula, another mental model, right? And it's like, hey, why am I not building? Well, do you have the results? Are you producing the results yourself? Okay, so do you have receipts to back those results? So it's not fugazi fugazi, it's not bragawatts, right?
hmm.
Right, as we talk about. Do you have
Receipts. Let's go
receipts?
receipts. I
You
love
have
this new
receipts.
one. This is
Okay, so
good.
if you have results and you have true receipts, then you will end up with what we call recruits. And it'll make you a talent magnet. You're no longer a recruiter, you're just a talent magnet. And who wants to recruit? I don't reach out to anybody. I don't DM anybody. I never do that. Like, you might have caught me one time last 5 years hitting someone up about solar. I just don't do it. I would rather create an environment that people feel compelled to join and become a person that people feel compelled to join. And so I've really just doubled down, tripled down, and finding the right people on your team for the media is a huge help, where you can just, jump a quick little selfie video
Yep.
and then send it out, and they'll clip it up and distribute it. That's obviously big because, I run a company. So I'm not running a social media company. That's not what I do. So I need the right people in my tool belt to help execute on this as well.
I love that. Yeah. Anybody that goes on my Instagram, they'll see about 2 years ago, I discovered, so here's what social media is to me. Literally, it's one thing. It's marketing. That's what, so if you take yourself out of kind of the consumer base and you look at, why did Zuckerberg build Facebook? Why is TikTok? Why is it's not there to show you puppies and your friends. None of those people care about that at all. All social media is created from the creators and owners of the social media company 100% for marketing and advertising. That's why it exists. And so I love what you're saying, because I owned that about 2 years ago. I'll put, something of me and my daughter on my stories every now and then, kind of a family thing. But I transitioned 100%, well, 95% into advertising on my social medias, no matter what that advertising was, a couple of years ago, just based on that exact view of what you're saying. So just, shout out to, any of the people in the industry. I love what you said about the SolarCon or the door-to-door con, was somebody's going to take advantage. And I'll see guys, and they don't want to post their checks or their successes or their booms. And I'm like, man, and they're like, why? Somebody's going to see it, and they'll see how much I made, and they'll ask me for money. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. And they won't do it. And I'm like, that's the reason you'll never grow and you'll never recruit, is because you're not engaged in the business end of solar, right? This is a business, and people think like reps, I think, too often. And so this is just a call out, you utilize your advertising. And if you're not good at it, guess what? And I did a podcast with Benning, and he said, when you're a setter, you're a bad setter. And then when you're a closer, you're a bad closer. And then when you're a recruiter, you're a bad recruiter. Then you're a manager, you're a bad manager. Then you're a regional, you're a bad regional. Then you're, so it's the same thing with the social media and the advertising. You're going to be bad at it until you're good at it. And when you get good at it, it starts to work. But you're not going to, just like doors or anything else, you're not going to get good at it until you do it. So Great, man. And I agree with you. I posted I do some of these things, obviously, well, everything on purpose. I saw the $1 Million Doorman post his, his views, and that dude's getting crazy, probably by all the wrong, like right or wrong. Like, I love this dude. I wish I knew who he was. And then I looked at mine. I hadn't looked at mine, and I'm like, shit, I only have like 59,000. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, Alex is, and I agree with you, the right content, like the right people. But I pay attention to these things. So let's rewind. So that was great on that. So you're in solar, you go to this new company, stuff starts to going good. Let's go into Spartan Solar. Some of the we're at 43 minutes, so we got some time because I really want to get into. I want to spend some time in a little bit here on, but I want to hear Alex's story too. Like, I want to get into like the state of affairs in solar today at some point. So that's coming up because it's bananas, dude. And some of the stuff you just started doing, I was like, I'm over here like, lighting fires, and you're over here fixing the problem with contracts. So we'll get into some of that, and make some of the stuff you've been putting out is we're going to pay you no matter what. Yeah. I'm like, let's go, Alex. So we're going to get into that, but let's go into the transition from Alex is learning, working from other people into the birth of Spartan Solar, because that's about the time that I meet you. I'd like to hear and nothing bashed on Legacy, but you go into Spartan Solar, you go under the Legacy umbrella, and at some point you say, that's not for me. I'm bigger than that. So I want to kind of hear those the start of Spartan Solar in the kind of early years.
I'm always going to be grateful for people that helped me get to where I'm at, right? So I've never really understood why someone will bash someone personally that really helped maybe mold them or make them better. So I just never really have been that way. Even the past companies that I was with, like, I still talk very highly of those people. It's like you have to have a little layer of self-awareness too. Like, who are you at those moments as well? But when I started Spartan, this is something I just recently told this other guy the story too. When I started Spartan, I had an option. I had a decision to make. Okay, well, first of all, how do I run a company? But assuming I'm running a company now, assuming I'm running a company and click the payroll buttons and figure all that stuff out, which I knew I would. Do I want to go and be like a dealer of Legacy, or do I want to go and work direct with an installer? I was just learning these lanes. This is new information for me, right? I never like peeped outside of my wheelhouse before, because I just stay focused. And I made the decision to take a 30-cent cut to work with Legacy. And I had other friends at that same time making that same decision that did not go that way. They went direct with an installer to get that extra 30 cents. And I made way more money than all of them. And so did actually my people too over that first year. At that time, Legacy was utilizing Titan, all these other installers. But the reason I made that decision was because I valued Seth Graney as a leader. I thought this is a guy I need to learn from. This is someone I want to evolve with and get closer to and understand. Like, I want to become more. And as great as I think I am, like, I'm willing to pay a price to become better. And in fact, I didn't flinch at it. It didn't really take me long to make that decision. It wasn't like this hard, like what do I do? I was like, I know this is the right thing to do for me at this time. So I went down that path. It was great because they had the tech, they had the systems, they had the clout online, so they had the following, they had the energy behind them. Like, that stuff is priceless. So that 30 cents, I made way more money than the other guys because I got way more value in return. Because it helped me recruit, it helped me build, it helped me run better meetings, it helped me get more systematized, it helped me, like, when I had hard problems and predicaments, helped me solve for them with the right leadership. So I'm very grateful for those people, Mark Toon, Chris Shipley, all those people that helped guide me in that time. And it went on for a year, and then they became their own installer. And when they became their own installer, things did not go very well. Like, just to be blunt, like, things did not go well at all. And I knew
they haven't gone well since. Honestly, installing is a tough business, man. But all the people, just to caveat, all the people you're talking about, amazing human beings. I agree. And what you just said there was you paid that 30 cents to learn. But I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah. So the installation process.
It was worth every penny times a multiple. But then they dropped their own installs. It wasn't going well. I knew eventually my people would realize it's not going well. Like, things aren't getting installed. We're not getting paid. And so I had to make the decision to make a move. I made a move, found a place where I had really fast installs. Everyone was getting funded really quickly, and it worked out really well for a little while, right? And the reason I say for a little while is because then after, it might have been like 8, 9 months, something in that range, all of a sudden they stopped paying. All of a sudden they went out of business, and a ton of companies, this is MC Solar, a ton of companies that use them got hit by this. So I lost like $1 to $2 million, lost like 75% of the company, had to rebuild from scratch again. That was a huge moment of, okay, our darkest nights produce our brightest stars. Adversity is the gift of fast growth. What am I going to do now? Okay, cry for 30 minutes. Okay, this sucked. Okay, what am I going to do now to move the ball forward? How am I going to become different? I don't want to be the same company or same thing I was before. What's the point of doing that? And so that's when I doubled down on tech. And I was like, I'm going to build the best tech and systems to allow and enable optionality and autonomy, right? Which means, okay, I'm not going to get screwed by any direct installer. I'm going to have multiple installers on the platform. And all of a sudden, within 6 months, we went from being 10, 15 guys, because I had to rebuild from scratch, to I had over 200 reps within 6 months. And all I did was the formula: results, receipts, recruits. I followed the formula, doubled down on tech, created good options for people. And in that time, my only goal, this is something I always tell people, when things go wrong or things aren't going great, oftentimes people get caught up in the life they were living. They get caught up in the things they used to do, they want to do within the business. You need to know what you need to do. You need to get really real with yourself for a fucking second. And it's really difficult. Sacrifice the old you like to be a guy that wasn't doing the other things. And you now have to get down and dirty and do the things you need to do in that moment to live the life you want to live eventually. And so at that very moment, I knew what was the one thing I could focus on that would lead to all the others, the most likely lead to all the other things I wanted. Boom, I got it. I'm going to get a golden door. I'm going to go for one thing. If I go for this one thing, I'm going to make a lot of other people around me wealthy. A lot of people are going to see how to do this thing at a high level. So they're going to become successful independently, right? Just by following me. It's a monkey see, monkey do business after all, right? It's not rocket science. And if I do that, it'll lead to everything else. So that's the approach I went. And within, 2 months, I had like 2-3 months or 2-3 blitzes, I had like 60 plus accounts going to install. And I was like pacing for well over a golden door. But then we just blew up. All of a sudden, everyone was seeing what we're doing because we're posting the receipts, the results of myself and the others every single day, right? It's like beating a dead horse. Like, you're just going to get clobbered by it. And all of a sudden, we blew up. We're at 200 plus people. And then within a few more months, we're doing 400 plus a month from nothing, 6-7 months prior. And I love that part of this journey for me was because I just realized, like, that's what I'm really good at. I'm really good at doing what's needed to be done at those moments. And I will do whatever it takes. I know that about myself. I trust myself in those moments, and I'll sacrifice all the comfort, all the things I was doing before. I also learned in that time, ignore the whisper. I should have known this company was eventually going to go out of business. I should have listened to the fact that we weren't getting quick PTOs. I should have listened to the fact that customer installs weren't going perfectly. I should have listened to some of these telltale signs, but things were good. Money was flowing. And this is a lesson everyone in the industry needs to learn, if you're still in the industry and you made it through this, which is just because you're getting paid, just because things are good for you right now, it doesn't mean they will always be that way. And what I mean by that is you could be the one installer getting paid by the lender. Sonova could be paying you because you're their favorite installer today.
But
right? Just a perfect example. But if you don't listen to all the whispers, right? All these other people not getting paid, all the smoke, right? If there's smoke, there's fire. You're just the last in line. And at that point, you might actually have the biggest blow. You might take the biggest hit. So this is something I've held very dear to myself because it's like, I can never get too arrogant in thinking, oh, we always are going to get paid. Everything's going to be great. If there's stuff going on, rumblings going on, I'm going to listen to that stuff so quickly and make pivots immediately because I will never get caught holding the bag ever again. And I hope all owners in this space, like, they look for smoke, they look for the whispers, and you pivot before things get really bad. Because if it's happened to other people, it's inevitable. It's probably going to run up the chain and happen to you. So those are just a couple of lessons I grabbed, in that transition that have really stuck with me.
I want to stick in there for a minute because I learned that lesson recently myself. And so one of the things that I've, as an operator, right? And so to me, this lesson that you learn goes out to everyone, right? Because you'll see, setters lose a $10,000 pipeline or a closer lose a $60,000 or $70,000 pipeline. And what's been interesting to me is I've been on this kind of white label campaign of calling people out, right? Where we have $1 Million Doorman who's like focused on one group specifically. I've done a lot of white label stuff, and some of it's, targeted to certain things, and some of it's just like, hey, let's. And so I have guys from, various, everybody's, who's this about? And I'll say, tell me. And they'll name off, this one or that one or this one or that one. And I'm like, you're right. Because there are some similarities in these. And then I have guys who will start defending. And they're like, well, it happened to them, but it won't happen to me.
Yeah.
And what I love about what you're saying is I learned a higher level of tactical operation over the last year myself from not paying attention to some of these things. So I was watching installers not get paid by Sonova. I was watching installers not pay reps. And I was like, well, I'm hearing from the people that I trust that things should be fine, right? And I have to keep this stuff fairly vague. But I believed that just because it was happening to other people or other companies, that it wasn't going to happen to me. And that was a very emotionally, mentally, and financially costly error in tactical operation for me. I paid the price dearly for that. And which is fine. I'm much like you. It's like, lace up. That's what we signed up for. Like, what's the next thing? And I love everything that you said because I relate to it so much. It's these, times of darkness that I just view as like, this is what I'm built for. But I made that tactical error myself. And I just had a guy just today, and he's like, and when I say to sink his ship, I put these things like the ship is sinking. And I have like 5 different guys start, and they're like, who is it? And I'm like, you tell me. And they named 4 different companies. And I'm like, right. I'm like, and so this one guy sends me pictures from his back end. And he's like, we're not sinking. And I'm like, show me installs. So this is what I want to hit with you. I want to hit the actual, because you keep saying receipt, and I'm like, oh man, that's my vibe. I hadn't heard that. I'm just swagger jacking that from you forever now. And I'm like, show me, this is what I said to him, but I didn't. I said, send me screenshots of megawatts installed on your company from your back end. And he sent it. And I just tossed him, I said, show me 2024 and show me 2025. And he did it. And I tossed it in Grok, and I just sent him a screenshot. And I said, this is your problem. You think your company's doing good, and you're down 58.9%. You're not doing good. This ship is sinking, bud. And he's like, wow, I never thought of that. And I'm like, that's because you're not looking for receipts. You're hearing the hype. You're hearing the drive. You're hearing the this and everything. Sonova made everything look great before they went bankrupt. They were flying around. When I was at Legacy, super public information, but in December of 2024, one of the directors of Sonova was at Legends up on stage talking about how amazing Sonova was doing. They went bankrupt months later. Were they making it sound like it was good? But the signs were that they were stopping paying installers nationwide, and that at some point there's an earthquake way out in the ocean, and that wave is going to hit me at some point. People don't pay attention to that. I want you to talk about the receipt more, brother, because the receipt is, I see these things, and I can say proudly, like I can show my receipts. Legacy, 3 years running, my region was top sales to installation.
Heck yeah.
My closer, Joey Weir, won nationwide sales to installation top closer 3 years in a row. I mean, the numbers are proven. Right now, we had a little bit of some transition waves. I just ran our numbers. We're at 73% sale to installation. So I can show my receipts. But I see these guys, and they're like, 150 sales, and I'm like, and they'll post a thing, and they'll cover up the install part. And I'm like, so talk about the receipts, because I think people need to learn in business to wade through the propaganda techniques and start to look for what's pertinent in business so that they can maneuver correctly. So I'd like to get your tactical advice on what guys should be, because it's pertinent, because guys can die. I mean, if you're not in a healthy position and something happens to you, you're gone. So talk through some tactical aspects of what guys should look for when they're looking for the receipts, what they should investigate with their company, what numbers they should be looking for, like what matters most.
Here's my favorite strategy in recruiting. This is all I do when I recruit. I was on 2 recruiting calls today, right? I do the same thing every time. Like, look, I'm going to show you under the hood, and I'm going to show you the receipts. You can see online how great we are, right? You can see our presence, you can see the energy, you can see everything there. But the only thing that I'm going to spend time with you on today is whatever questions you have, and I'm going to lift up the hood, and I'm going to get down and dirty with all the particulars, the stuff that literally I know no one else will show them. So when I open the hood, I follow the same formula. I go into the CRM, and we make everything very visible. And I show them, here are our timelines for every stage. It takes us on average 24 to 48 hours for every site survey. From site survey to permit submit, we're getting it done in 3 days on average in 9 states. From site survey to ready to schedule, RTS, right now it's at 13.8 days, meaning we're calling the customer 13.8 days after site survey on average, scheduling the install. Right now on site survey to install, I know this because I just do it every day. So I know like the back, and I refresh it every day.
Well, and it's the truth. So
24.89 days site. Install to inspection passed, 8.2 days on average. Install to PTO currently, 21 days on average. So I just know all the data behind the scenes every single day. So I show them the timelines. Like, here's what's most important. This is our company-wide averages across the board. Here's what it looks like site survey to scheduling in your state. Here's what it looks like install to your state. And then I go into, okay, we're also a platinum partner of LightReach. Why do you think we have the best pricing and pay at submittal? Why do you think we have that? And they go say whatever they want to say. It's because our first time submission pass rate is very high, above 85%, above 90%. In fact,
it has to be high, yeah, 80, 85.
PTO speed, very fast. Those are the things the lenders care about the most. And then volume. You tack all those together and you can get elite status, platinum status. You can get these things that give you a difference maker in the market. But lenders really know. So I lean into that as well, because that's like proof. If a lender's willing to put their certification on us at the highest level, that we're doing things right on the operational side, we're taking care of the customers. Then the next receipt I show them is like, look at our Google reviews. We got 800 plus 5-star reviews on Google. We're an A+ on the Better Business Bureau, right? So this is great receipts for you in the home with the homeowner. That obviously makes a difference. That helps a ton. And then I go into our software that we built, Optimus, and I pull up this week's pay. I literally pull up, hey, no one else can see this. No one on our team can see this on the rep side, the leader side. This is just what our payroll team sees. Our payroll's automated. It takes care
money
of
in the bank.
It takes care of itself. It's all automated. Everything's done. We don't have to think about anything. It just spits it out. That's the tech we built. And you pull it up and I go, this is this week's pay. Here's all the M1s, all the M2s, all the M3s. Here's the average timeline to get an M2 after install. Here's the average timeline to get an M3 after install. Like, here is all the data that you need to make a good decision. And the reason I'm going to show you all of this is because I know, and I know this because I worked with basically every installer when we were doing 4 to 7 megawatts a month with a ton of EPCs. I worked with a ton of CRMs, a ton of installers. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, ugly, ugly. I lost $4.6 million last year from installers not paying me, right? So I went through that. I haven't talked about it till now on this podcast. I don't talk about it to anybody because I'm going to get through that. I'm going to come out, then I'm going to tell you the story of how I did it and the adversity I went through. So maybe you can get something from that, right? And so those are the receipts I show them. Then I show them Optimus. I show them I log into a leader's account in Optimus, and I show them how all the software works. I show them their pipeline, their bank, all their guys' receipts in their banks. I literally show them everything that they would want to see within their own team, and that any company should show them. So it comes down to all of those metrics. That's like primarily what I dive into, and then whatever questions they have. And then I show them our adders. I'm like, the other thing you're gonna get blindsided by a lot is surprise adders. In fact, nothing was worse the last couple of years when I was using various EPCs than payroll day, because me, leaders, and payroll team would get blown up by the reps of the unexpected, I thought I was making this and I'm really making that. So we made a decision with SpartanX, like, hey, let's like be the antithesis of all these other companies that are killing trust. We have a reason we exist as a company. We decided this together as a unit. The reason why we exist, and it can't be for profit or money, because inherently you need that for business, right? So the reason we exist is to elevate the industry through trust and create uncommon success for the people we serve. And that might sound like a fun line, but we actually live by that. And you probably started seeing that by some of the things I've done and the change I've made. I want to create certainty in this industry. I want to create trust. I want people to, be able to leave their trauma and baggage at the door, because there's a lot of that. And so I'm going to make sure that part of the equation is showing them everything they need, including the adder. Guess what? We don't nickel and dime you. There's no line side tap, rate, this panel, that inverter. There's no travel adder, this roof, that roof, multiple arrays. There's none of that. You're just going to have a main panel upgrade, big electrical. And the reason we decided is like, yeah, we could give you the lowest red line in the world, and then we'll make it back up with confusing tactics. And we'll
nonsense.
Put it on top. We could do that. We like thought about it. Like, hey, we could make this sound really good and recruit a ton of people by giving them a 1.9, a 1.8. We could do that. Like, that's a strategy we could do, and we would still make the same margin. We'd make it back up in the adders that start to pile on. But we decided that that's not going to be us. I don't think those companies will win long term. I think it feels like a bait and switch once people come in. They start to feel that friction. And we just decided, hey, we want to create trust, so we're not going to surprise you. You're going to get what you expect. Your pipeline value that you see in our bank and Optimus, like, that's going to be the thing that pays out. You're not going to have a curveball. You're not going to be surprised. And so when I talk about receipts under the hood, that's literally what I show them. I screen share and show them all of that stuff. And that usually does all the work for me, because what else do you need?
No, I love that. And I would say anybody listening to this that's in a company currently or looking for another company, rewind that and then write all that down, because that's specifically what you should be looking for. I see so many guys go into, when I've made transitions, those are the things that's important to me. Is the company healthy? What are the actual books? What are people actually making? What are the actual adders? I don't want to hear what you did in 2024. I want to hear what's happening right now. I want to see your we have some of these companies out there that are not banks, or not large companies that banks are not dealing with because they have such poor credit.
Yep.
And we have reps going into these companies, in recruitment meetings, just like la-di-da-di-da. Like, no, that's like, listen, I've changed as a person when and I'm married, but so let's talk about what I like my daughter to do. I'd like my daughter to find a spouse with good credit that takes care of themselves, that has, right? Like, if I'm going into business with somebody, it's important that they have good credit. It's good that they have financial health. It's good that I can actually see, if we just start to compare companies, there's one company over here, company A, and they say, hey, you're going to make all this because we have this kind of rev share model. And there's this other companies over here, and they say we have this, red line model. And at the end of the day, none of it matters. Show me 100 closers and what they make per deal, and I can get an aggregate, and then wash that out. Like, what's actually in their bank account, what their adders were, what your financial health was, what are your time. I love the timelines thing. What are your actual timelines in the state? The things that actually matter. And people are just in this sense of la la land between tactically not understanding that what's happening to everyone else. Listen, if you're a young girl and you're going over to Jeffrey Epstein's house, I can probably tell you what's going to happen. So if you're messing around with a company that has a systematic behavior of taking advantage of people, lying and putting false propaganda, the adders and all this kind of trickery and sorcery in there, posed as like these propaganda techniques, you kind of get what you deserve. You have to do your homework. So I love everything that you said. If you're a listener, go back and listen to that. Write all that down. Obviously, Alex the reason that we're doing this is I want to really start promoting people in the industry that I believe in and I think are doing it right. And that's why it's great to do a show with you, Alex, because you kind of represent a lot of that stuff. So let's talk about
and that's what led into, like, on the receipt side too, when we worked with a ton of installers and I took a bunch of L's over there, some wins for a while and then some L's. Things change over time, right?
Yeah.
It got really frustrating not getting paid, and like hoping like, will you please pay me? And then you play like the please game, and then eventually maybe send a demand letter, and then what are you going to sue and go through that whole process? And they might not even have cash. It's just like, it's such an unwinnable battle, it feels like. And I like to just move forward. So we took a lot of L's there. We had a lot of reps that couldn't get paid at that time from us because we never got paid. And that sucks, right? That was a miserable experience. Thing at that moment seems like it's coming from Spartan, but just Spartan at that time, if we're not getting paid from installers, like, you know how it is. The sales rep, especially when you're a dealer, the sales reps make all the money. And so we're like, hey, like when we become our own EPC, when we do this, when we launched it, we wanted to make things very different. And so one of those things too, we're like, we wanted to protect everyone's pipeline. And so we put in the freedom provision in the contract. We named it that way for a reason. Thought it'd be a fun name, right? You gotta have fun with this, right? You gotta have fun. I like you have fun with this stuff. I want to have fun with it. And really, that states your pipeline's yours. Whether you leave here, work for a competitor, if we stop being the best and stop earning your business, like there's nothing to worry about. You'll get paid absolutely everything you're owed. And in fact, there's no delay. You're going to get paid it the same week you'd get paid it if you're still in this company. Because the one thing I'm really sick of in this business, and I've had to be on both sides, is no one wants to tell the truth. No one wants to say what's happening. No one wants to be like, hey, it's not really working out for me. Like, these things are really bad. I'm leaving. I'm going to this company. No one feels comfortable saying the truth to anybody. And so everyone's like, are you with me? Are you not with me? And you run into this weird thing where like people even want to, they were like, I want to tell him like, hey, like I'm going to go to this day and work with this. People want to do that because internally, like you lose your peace, right? You have chaos internally because you're, especially when they call you do the wrong thing. That whole like scenario that plays out for so many people and so many companies in this industry. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I want people to feel comfortable being candid with me, whether it's good or bad. And how do I create that? So that's why we did the freedom provision, because whether you're with me or not, like, don't worry about your pay. I want us to operate off of trust, right? And then we can go from trust, we can go to healthy conflict. Without trust, conflict is politics, right? And then we can create a commitment together. We can hold each other accountable, and we can get the end result. Most people flip the pyramid upside down. They start focusing on the results. Like, why aren't you selling? Why aren't you doing this? And they try to work their way back. Like, I thought you committed to this, and like, I was supposed to be able to hold you accountable here. And then you have the conflict over it, and then you're like, I don't even trust you. And they go backwards as a leader. I want to make sure that triangle stays right side up, where we operate off of high levels of not only predictive-based trust, but vulnerability-based trust, which you have to kind of lead first for that. And predictive trust takes time, so you don't always have that with people. And radical transparency is the number one way to build trust. And if I can create an environment that has enough of those things working in it, well, I assume we'll have higher trust levels between them and between us. So when we communicate, there's no fugazi. Like, we can actually play the game and have fun and get out of this like high school drama version of solar that's like plaguing the industry and been plaguing it for so long. And so I'm so anti that. I want nothing to do with that. And I participated in it before. So it's not like I haven't been in it in some degree. I just want to create something that doesn't have that anymore, because I want to have fun. I want to enjoy this. I want to go through the hard times and have fun doing it with the right people that we all trust each other. And I think it comes from creating that kind of like environment that doesn't do the funny business stuff. So I just wanted to rip on that for a second, because that's something I'm really passionate about building toward right now. And I want more of it. I want to see more of it. I know some of the companies that operate that way too. So there's companies that I know that are really good. I think Sun Solar is one of those companies, an exemplary example of that. And there's a lot of companies that are the exact opposite. I'm like, I want to be the antithesis of that company.
No, and that's exactly where I wanted you to go, because I feel like that's the kind of state, interesting for me, you have to be careful. When you're saying you had a $4 million, debt, it far exceeds anything that I've experienced in the industry personally, right? I've gone through some wreckage, and we all have different personalities. I've kind of like picked up the sword and started swinging. I'm learning the lesson right now, though, that to take on. So that's why I love the podcast, right? Because I love talking to other leaders who are great, or who are better at certain things. That it is better and easier to move on, and the financial things and the court things. We're gonna go through those. But you can go through those without the emotional trauma. So the great lesson for me on that. And where I think you hit the point that I really wanted to kind of focus on is like changing the industry vibe like together. And I think one of the things here for people to keep in mind is there is a difference, right? So if I work for, and I'm just going to use Spartan because it's you. If I work for Spartan Solar and I'm a rep and I come in by myself, and I want to go and leave in 4 months, but I want to take 10 of Alex's guys that were never mine. When people start breaking covenants and doing dirty stuff, and like those are different circumstances, Gabe. Yeah. Like you can't do what's best for you and destroy other people's work, or lie or cheat or steal, and expect them to also do what's right for you. But you should have the right to go and work where you want, and you should have the right to trust the people that you work with, and you should be in an environment. And I love everything. I'm going to re-listen to everything that you just said, because there's so many great points in there about the trust and different levels of trust. But you should be able to trust a company enough to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what's not working out for me. And then above and beyond that, you should be able to be heard, because if you're saying things and you're not heard, you lose trust, right? And I think that more often than not, what happens is companies get on their own paths. People become unheard. People are, shouting for like, I need help, help me, and they're not getting the help. And then, certain things happen to them over time that can be devastating mentally, physically, financially, loss of trust, and they try and fight through things. And at some point, the culture aspect ends. Or they stop getting paid, or they're getting lied to, or all these different things that can happen at various companies. And then they physically cannot trust the company anymore, because the company's proven that they're not trustworthy. And that sets it up an environment where it's the fugazi. They can't go in and say, hey, like, what I need to do is, I love you. sorry it's not working out. I need to go over here because I got to feed my family. And they can't do that because of the environment. And so what I love about what you've been posting on social media and your group's been posting on social media is how do we turn that tide and, start focusing on companies doing, and you're right. So the reason that I picked Sun Solar Solutions as a regionalized installer, I use somebody different in California, but I picked them because they're trustworthy and they pay people and they're a good installer and they're honest and they're engaged and they work really hard and they're not just coming in and passing out hats and shirts. They're actually fucking working. They're doing the thing, right? Like I go get a hat anywhere. Like I need somebody who's working and they're honest. And so I love all that. And one of the things that, the reasons I wanted to have this podcast other than just getting to know you was I want to get this message out to, of Alex. And Alex is representing a company that has a freedom clause and you're going to get paid. If you act right and do right and you're trustworthy and you're honest and you want to leave and go work somebody else, Alex is going to pay you. And I think that that's what we need more of in the industry. We need to people need to wake up and we need to kind of stand up together and go like, hey, how do we collectively change the vibe of the industry into more trustworthy operators?
Yeah. And there are again, Sun Solar, there's several other companies I'm thinking in my head that I just know have been good through and through. When they've been getting paid, they pay out. They don't play the funny games. They don't hold stuff. It really kind of comes down to right now we have a 5.5 year runway. We just got gifted the biggest blessing we've had in a long time, right? We got a 5.5 year runway to play all out. And I'm sure you think the same thing I think, which is, I can do more. Right. Yeah. My first 5 years, there's times where I was playing all out and there's times where I wasn't. The last 2.5 years, I have been in a dead sprint personally. I just know this is I've been all in because I read through extreme adversity. I'm like, never again will I get caught slipping. And now was
that a book you just mentioned?
What?
Did you just say, you've been through, I thought you said you read through extreme adversity.
Yeah. And so went through that, right? Losing everything, having to rebuild. And I refuse to get to another place like that. I don't want to keep talking about, it's almost like I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's I'm done doing it. So I'm going to create and there's going to be those moments, right, where those are fun stories, no matter what. But I want to create an environment that really limits that as much as possible. And since we've been given 5.5 years, if you're in this industry, now if there's smoke, there's fire. Just know that much. Every single time. You should know if there's whispers, there's going to be screams. Again, might not be you now. You might be the favorite all-star today. The favorite company, the favorite rep, the favorite leader. Just wait. If you're hearing it happen to other people,
it's
real
coming.
$1 million doorman exposes it all the time. It's bound to happen to you at some point in time. Mm-hmm. So how can you internally ever accept working for a company, a person, a leader that has that within them to take everything you've done and strip it from you the second you don't feel like they're serving you anymore? And so I think now it's really important to align with the right companies, make the moves today. You're gonna have to rip off some Band-Aids. Some people are probably gonna screw you over, but there's a ton of great companies out there that have a track record of paying people, have a track record of taking care of the customer. And now there's a 5.5 year runway. It makes a lot of sense to pick the winning partners, because the one part of the business that people, I didn't think about as much either. I was building a bunch of places, selling a bunch of markets, on and off volume. We were really difficult as a sales org to build a business around as an installer. We were a tough company to build around, right? We could throw you crazy volume and shock the system, so to speak, and maybe we'll sustain it here and maybe we'll pivot there. And that's almost reckless, right? So we were also part of the problem before too. So I'm not saying we've been always the best in every lane. We've actually been part of the problem for installers, because in order for the interest must be aligned. And if you're picking a ton of different partners and you're in the same state, throwing volume here and volume there, we've done that. I've been that guy. There's no predictability. There's no forecasting. They can't have equipment ready. They can't have crews ready. So you shouldn't expect their timelines to be amazing. And if they start to slow down, why would they hire more people if they know the second they slow down, you pivot volume somewhere else? So you leave an installer, looking bad. In some cases, it's really on the sales org and the sales team that's not properly forecasting, not being loyal through it, not pushing the volume and telling them what's going to happen. Because now I'm on both sides of it, so I see how that all plays out a lot more clearly than I did then. And so it takes accountability on both sides. On the installer side to pay people that do the work, right? Make sure they do the timelines. But it's on the sales team and the sales org to make sure you inform operations what you're actually going to do. And you can stay consistent, you can execute. So there's predictability on both sides. There's forecasting on both sides, because installs really need forecasting. You need the crew capacity. You need the site survey techs. You need the equipment. And all of a sudden, if you don't have those things, because you threw a 100 spot and no one expected anything like that, now the timelines are delayed. Now you shift volume. And now that, what is that, installer going to hire people, have more expense, and then lose the revenue that's going to come in the future? So there's this weird little problem that happens in the dealer installer relationships that I think needs to get kind of worked through as well. And I was part of that problem in the past too.
I love that. I love just spitting the truth, man. It's, it's been fun being on this call with you, just see why you're such, a great operator, man. You're obviously, you learned a lot of lessons. So listen, man, I want to talk a little bit about your market expanse, where Alex, obviously, we're coming to close to the end here. So I want to, I want to plug you guys, right? I want to plug guys into you. If they're somewhere that's bad, they need somewhere to go. I believe in you. I believe in your message. I believe in, I think anybody who listens to this and doesn't believe that, just what you just said. I mean, you're tactically, you've utilized the wins and the losses to excel and change the way that business is operated for the reps. And, now you're taking that into the installation side. So, your link will be in the bio of this podcast. It'll all be linked in here for somebody to reach out to Alex, SpartanX. Tell me a little bit about the installs, where you guys markets, where you want to touch guys, where you can help guys. What are some of your prime markets? I know, I believe I just saw you launch Illinois. That was one of the newer ones, but where are you kind of guys at? Tell the audience a little bit about SpartanX, like where you're at, where your best markets at, where the looks are.
Totally. So right now, everything's shifting to TPO driven markets, right? So high rate, favorable net metering or decent net billing, TPO markets. That's going to be, you want to make sure you prepare for the long haul for the next 5.5 years. So we're shutting down some of the loan only states we were in, which is fine because we're adaptable and can pivot. So it's not a big deal because we don't build this fortress of warehouses and cruise expenses. So it's, we have a really good model for this kind of
smarter than that.
These changes. But the markets that we're going to be serving and we are serving is Florida, Georgia, Maryland, Texas, Michigan, Iowa. We just got our TPO there, so it's an incredible opportunity there. Illinois is launching some at any week now this month, maybe this week. Pennsylvania thereafter. So those are the main markets we're servicing. And one thing I want to point out too, and I think this is just good for everyone to understand, and maybe even ask your own company these questions and see if your company has dove into this. But it's something I've really learned this year, and it's made a big impact on mine. So I just want to share this with everybody, which is clarity is the number one strategy in business. And the problem is most companies focus on the smart side of the business. And there's no company, you're not going to walk into a legacy or walk into a free and be like, oh, there's a bunch of dumb people here. No wonder things aren't going great. No, you have a bunch of smart people that focus on the systems, the marketing, the tech, the yada, yada, yada. Like that's all that most people ever focus on. No one focuses on the healthy side of the business. And that's the last standing competitive advantage. The healthy side of the business is reducing politics, reducing confusion, so you can increase morale, increase productivity, and then you have healthy turnover, where the wrong people leave and the right people stay and join. And so how do you create a healthy environment? Almost no companies spend any time doing that. We spend an exorbitant amount of time. We're about to take a leadership retreat to Costa Rica tomorrow. And we have Casey Thompson, who's a top table group consultant. He's actually a partner in the company now. Patrick Lucioni wrote The 5 Dysfunctions of the Team, The Advantage. He works underneath him. And so we have that guy in our company, right, to help fuel the healthy side of the business. And early on is like, there's a lot of politicking in this industry and the company. And politicking is like when you're back channeling, you have meetings after the meetings, like you're going around, like you said you agreed to something, you said you're going to commit to something, and then you're bad talking it the next second. So you don't actually believe it. You don't actually commit to it. Even if you don't agree, you still should commit. Politicking and confusion are the two, those are like the number one, that's the most important job for a leader right now in this industry, is to kill politics and confusion. If you could do that within your team, you're gonna have a very successful team. So you have to provide a lot of clarity. So how we create clarity as a company, there's 6 main questions you have to ask yourself and ask your team and ask your company. You should answer it together. Number 1 is, why do you exist? And it can't be for profit or for money, for the stuff that is inherently part of the business. Like I said earlier, we exist to elevate the industry through trust and uncommon success for the people we serve. The next cultural piece that never changes is, how do we behave? What makes a rock star inside the company versus a misfit, so you can spot them really quickly and get rid of them? Or more importantly, it's peer-to-peer accountability, so they get rid of themselves, right? So it's a great play to run. But if no one knows what a rock star is in your company, you have people operating in a weird way you don't agree with, it's not fair to them because you don't tell them what it is. For us, it's you before me. which means you put other people first. Team number one comes first, which is the company at all times. You put the company first. It takes care of everything else and everyone else. And then you kill politics and confusion. That's you before me. Whatever it takes means you say the goal, you commit to the goal, and you execute on it no matter what. That's simple, but some people say a lot of things and they don't do it. So that guy, if he doesn't do it, he's not a whatever it takes guy. And then dialed in for us, this is the third behavior, is you're a self-sufficient expert, right? So you can do everything the job requires, back end, front end, and you don't need to be babysat, right? You don't need to call every time because you can't learn it yourself. And then if you want to go the step further, you're a systematic multiplier. So you have systems and processes for everything. And again, it's a monkey see, monkey do business. So other people can follow you, whether it's on the doors, in the home, objection handling, how you follow up, how you save deals, you name it. They can follow you around. They can follow your systems and scripts and do just as well as you. So if you hit all those three, you're a rock star in the company. So that's like the cultural piece of a company. Every company should answer. The next is, what do we do? This is where a lot of companies fail here in the solar industry. And you're going to laugh at this one. What do we do? It's really about more than anything else. So we do at Spartan, it's very simple. We sell and install solar panels and batteries, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else.
We do.
Oh, you want to do other things? Oh, no, we don't do that. Sorry. Why do you say no to things? Why do you have to say no to all other things? Because if you can't get really good at this thing, and it's simple as form, you're going to screw up everything else, and then you're just going to be a really shitty.
So wait, Alex, are you telling me you're not going to be a roofing, air conditioning, full home service, solar? That's not the way to do it. We should just focus on selling solar and installing solar.
So I believe in the 1 degree philosophy, which is like we operate. First, it was just we sell and install solar panels. We didn't add batteries until recently because we wanted to be the best at that one thing without any more complexity. Then we've added in batteries. Next, we'll likely add in roofs, right? Because it's just easier to keep that in-house at some point. So it doesn't mean we won't add a degree in, but we first must be the best for a sustained period of time.
What we're doing.
Everything. And then you could add 1 degree in. So like what do we do? That can change over time, right? You know, hopefully like by small pieces, not like leaps and bounds. Otherwise, that's another problem. And then you have like, how are we going to succeed as a company? So this is like all lenses the whole company should look through, whether it's the starting rep, the CEO, it doesn't matter. If everyone can speak the same language, you're going to have a beautiful company, right? And so how we succeed, there's 3 things. Number 1 is you have to utilize tech to provide speed and transparency. So everything we do, like if we find good tech or better options, we adopt it, because if it can provide more speed or transparency, we must do it. Number 2, everything has to be a win for the customer, operations, and sales. If it's not a win for all 3, we have to say no, even if 2 of the 3 are winning. And the third one is solar done right now. We have to do it by the book. We can't cut corners, otherwise you get banned, blocked, etc. You can't break the law, but we must do it fast because our people deserve that much, right? And then the next question is, what's most important right now? And this is like a quarterly thing you do. This is more strategic. For us, it's like we want to make sure within the next 2 or 3 months, we sell and install 300 solar systems, or on the ops side. We install 300 systems in a 1 month span, so 75 a week, which would put us on pace to get to around that 90 to 100 by the end of the year. All right, so that's our thematic goal. And then we build out all of our defining objectives, like below 21-day average install, below 45-day average PTO. Like we have all these things we have to all push for as an operational unit, 70% realization rate, 600 sales in a month. You know what I mean? Like we have all these things that we can come together collectively, define tasks and who the stakeholders and who must do what. And now we have a full stack where everyone in the company can answer those same questions that I just answered for you. And so for me as the operator, this has been the best it's been running a company, because there's so much clarity around like the business and how we operate, the lenses we look through. So I wanted to share that, because folks on the smart side instead of the healthy side is a losing battle over time. It's the last standing advantage in business. And then knowing the 6 main questions to your business really provides a lot of clarity. And if anyone and everyone can do that, I think it'll allow all the people in your team, including yourself, to be aligned.
Love that. I'll go back and take notes on that when I re-listen to the podcast. So much in there. This has been so educational and great. You see why your operations are growing. One of the things I love that you said, I actually started Fortitude Roofing. So we do just a couple $1 million in roofs in Nevada a year. But, once I had the solar has always been the propulsion engine for everything else that I've done. My, financial investments, stocks, rental properties, the roofing company. But what I loved about what you said was, which is true, and I joke about, are we going to be everything? We don't need to be everything, but if we're going to be anything else, we should make sure that we're really good at the thing that we're doing before we do anything else. And it's, if let's just dumb this down or not really dumb it down, but let's scale it down into, how I talk to setters or closers. I'm like, listen, I can't teach you to close until I teach you to open. And until you can open really good, until you can set a deal really well, I can't teach you to close, because the main revenue producing mechanism is setting. And if I start putting you into closes and you're setting Monday and Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you have 3 appointments and all of them no-show because you're not good at setting yet, and then now you're not setting any deals on those days, you've stopped the thing. So let's focus on getting really, really, really good at setting, and then we'll focus on getting really, really, really good at closing, and then we'll show you how to recruit, and then we'll show you how to get really, really, really good at training. But people now let's scale up
now
into
you got
company
a strong
size.
foundation. That's great.
Yes, I want to make sure that I have a really strong sales team that can just operate because it's running on SOPs, right? I'm managing processes and not people. Before I go and start a roofing company, if I'm doing awful at installing solar, I probably shouldn't go and try and start installing roofs yet. Figure out what you're doing with solar before you move on. So I love that message. And then on the other end of that, man, literally me just notes. I got to take some notes on that, because your business acumen is admittedly far above mine. I mean, I know mine. I'm not one of those guys in the industry. This is what Alex is doing is so easy. Just listening to your talk and how you've applied yourself to the industry is a testament, and obviously why you're scaling the way that you are. So just a mad amount of respect. I'll go back and take some lessons out of that myself. I love to learn. So listen, man, we're at an hour 29. I just wanted to express some gratitude to you, man. One, for being, a lot of lessons have come out of this for me, man. I've kind of been on a little bit of a warpath myself lately. I feel, it was funny because
I've been on a lot of warpaths lately. I feel it.
Yeah, it's, I did this thing with my therapist. I just did a podcast with my therapist, and she's like, well, why are you doing it? And I'm like, because I'm mad. She's like, no, why are you doing it? And I'm because I have to fight back. And she's like, why are you doing it? Because it's injustice. And she's like, no, you're doing it because you're hurt. The people that you trusted and cared about hurt you. And I'm like, man, I really resonate with that. I resonate, and as soon as she said it, it helped me kind of identify, the battle can rage on, but I don't need to be a mental, part of it. So, I love what, when you said, man, I lost $4 million last year, I'm over here I got a couple $100,000, I got to learn a lesson from Alex and kind of take on. So between that and some of the tactical and operational procedures that you've laid out here for everyone in the industry, and for being a trailblazer in the freedom addendum in your contract to make sure the guys are paid.
There's the sign up. Everyone put that in your contract. Let's just make an industry that pays people. That'd be great. It'd be better for everybody. I really believe that. It'll be better for everybody.
100%. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, man. Let's end with a thought. So guys that are, earlier in their career, the not 9, 10, 12-year guys, the 1, 2, 3, 4s and 5s, what's some takeout advice for those guys, man? What would you blast out there?
I'll give them a 4-step formula. I think everything should be simplified. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So many people want to create huge, robust daily morning routines, you name it, checklists of things they must do. I'm like, dude, you will never do that. So my advice would be 2 parts. Number 1, fence yourself in if you believe in the opportunity. And what I mean by fence yourself in, you got to set up your own guardrails, because there's too much freedom in this business, unfortunately. So you must fence yourself in early on. And really all that is, don't make this complicated. It's not like doing a million things every day. It's, here are the hours for me. Let me just explain what I do. I fence myself in from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. I have do not disturb on my phone. So almost all the time, I just don't respond to people in those hours. Does that mean sometimes I don't when stuff hits the fan? Of course, right? But I can protect that. Why do I do that? Because I believe in early to bed, early to rise. So I want to fall asleep early and wake up early without needing an alarm. That's what I do. I fence in myself where at 7 a.m. I have an oh shit alarm. I almost never wake up at 7 a.m. But in the long shot that I sleep in for some reason, I can't understand, I'll have an alarm that'll go off that'll protect my personal time. I have personal time from the moment I wake up till 10 a.m. 10 a.m. is when I start my work. And this is different for everyone in the different seasons of their life. 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., I'm in my highest and best use of time. Don't get this complicated, right? It's like, what is the highest and best use for you today? What do you need to do? And then again, the thing repeats at 9 p.m., right? That's when do not disturb goes on. So that's how I fence myself in. And then that way I can just stick to this every single day. I don't have this like on and off thing. I used to like go on and off. I used to have great days and not so great days. Now I just have like, I don't miss anymore. And I like not missing. It builds momentum for me personally and internally. And then the next part is your 4-step formula for success in the field, right? So step 1 is effort, always. Without effort, there's no reason to talk to anybody. There's no reason to complain. There's no reason to ask for coaching. Number 1 is effort. What is your effort metrics? Easy metrics to follow in this business. 1 deal a day. We got to hit one of these, right? So 1 deal a day, 2 sits a day, 3 utility bills with sets, or 5 sets with a mixture of utility bills and no utility bills. Then you have 30 conversations with real qualified homeowners, 100 doors. So those are all metrics where if you hit one of those, right, you put in the effort. Now we can focus on the skill gap. We can figure out what we need to coach you on. But if you haven't hit any of those, even as a leader, you should just tell them there's nothing to talk about. I can't waste my time with you. Step 2 is you have to track everything. If you don't know all those stats for yourself, you can't like lean on anyone to train you or coach you, and they should honestly not do it because they don't know what to coach you on. They're just going to say whatever they feel like feels good to say, right? It's like someone's on a podcast, they'll rip on whatever you feel like talking about. Maybe the people don't even want to hear it. So I'd rather tune this right into what you actually need because it's clear based on these conversion rates what I need to focus on for the training. So step 1 is effort. Step 2 is track everything. Step 3, reviews and referrals. You should ask for a review in every home, at every install, at every PTO. You should ask for it. It's called solidifying and multiplying, right? Solidify your deal. If they give you a 5-star review while you're in the home, are they going to cancel? It's going to be hard for them to because they just said how great you were, right? Obviously, they don't have the install yet. They don't have the other stuff, but it's going to be hard to cancel when they just wrote a 5-star review about you. So ask all the time. Ask for a referral every single time. Most people will say no. Even if that person doesn't sign up, still be the guy that asks for it. Because you're going to end up finding your golden goose that lays a ton of eggs. And it's just a matter of time. You just have to ask for it every time. Because there's a saying, whatever you do 10 out of 10 times, your people will do. Whatever you do 9 out of 10 times, your people will never do. So if you get caught missing effort, missing tracking, missing asking for reviews or referrals, even 1 out of the 100 homes you're in, your people will never do it. So you must be the person that does it perfectly every single time. Step 4 is master your script and objection handling. And it's step 4 for a reason, right? You got to do step 1, 2, 3 before you get to 4 because that doesn't come first. First, it's the effort, tracking everything, knowing where your gaps are in the script and objection handling, and then are you leveraging the compound effect in business? So I think there's the 4-step formula, the fencing in yourself. If you do both of those things, you'll be successful. Your leaders will love to work with you and to create an environment where everyone knows about it. Again, it's a monkey see, monkey do business. This isn't rocket science. Just do everything perfectly every time.
Man, Alex, spitting fire, bro. Bring the heat. This might go down as one of my favorites. I think some of my favorite, Ty Williams, Jordan Williams, Benning. Jordan Benning was a beast. John Soriano was actually a beast. Just going through this is, I love when I just hear something. I'm just like, man, I got to go back and listen to this 3 or 4 times. So you have just absolutely laid it down today, bro. I'm so grateful for you. Your link will be, we'll put out a podcast cover and some links in that stuff. Everybody can go to your links in there to contact you on IG or anywhere they want to contact you. We've gone through the markets and what Alex does well. So I'm sure you're open to, giving guys advice or bringing them on board or any of those types of things. So we're going to end, brother. I'm so grateful and appreciative for all of the fire that you spit today. And I'm sure the industry will just get a massive amount of value out of this.
Thank you, man. Grateful. I haven't been on a podcast in a long time. So it's fun to get to chop it up with someone I haven't really, like yourself, that I've talked to through in the industry, but we just haven't chopped it up. So I'm just grateful to be able to speak with you and be able to speak through some things that I feel like, I want the industry to change in this direction. And I believe we can actually make it happen.
100%. Thank you, brother.